Shiva Pamar, President of NISHTHA, the Civil Service Society of Hansraj College. Welcome everyone to the very last time, to the very last session. And it is the most awaited session because our chief guest is an alumna of Hansraj College. And before rolling into the session, I want to introduce NISHTHA Society to everyone. NISHTHA Society is a unique and innovative initiative by Hansraj College for students to converge and converse and to provide UPSC aspirants an edge over the others. And it has been successful in doing so as it has already produced ample amount of civil servants for the nation. Nishtha Society has turned out to be the most esteemed society in Delhi University circuit as considered in the polls by various independence groups. It provides students an all-round development by making their base strong and imparting them with high technicalities so that they can flourish in all arenas. And it has hosted the number of eminent personalities from all the corners related to academic purposes like Chief Justice of High Courts, Supreme Court's judges, to Labasna's director, to government secretaries, and foremostly bureaucrats from whom we seek our all inspirations. And today we are highly privileged that we have a person who is this magistral UPSC exam with a very monumental rank. She is none other than Mrs. Vipasha Kalita. I welcome you, ma'am, on behalf of Nishtha Society, our esteemed principal, Dr. Rama, ma'am, and from the entire fraternity of Hansraj College. And I personally thank you, ma'am, for giving the consent to grace this occasion with your overwhelming presence. Thank you and welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very glad to be a part of this session.
Now, I want to have privilege to introduce everyone to our chief speaker. Bipasha Kalita ma'am is a graduate from a college, which we proudly say our college, Hansraj College. She served in an assistant commissioner capacity in the government of Assam. And in 2017, she cleared UPSC exam in her fourth attempt with All India 41st rank. And ma'am, I want to tell you, coincidentally, it was the same year our society was formed in Hansraj College. Today, ma'am will be enlightening all the young girls about her life in Hansraj College, and it will be followed by Q&A session where we will take all the questions from our attendees. And I want to tell you, it is raining in Delhi, and currently it is raining of question in the comment section. Thank you, and over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Shiva, thank you so much. First and foremost, thank you for having me here. It's a very, very humbling feeling and a very humbling experience to be approached by your alma mater to come and give a speech about my life in Hansraj College and how it shaped me as a person and how it had a role in the entire process of me entering the civil services. So without any delay, I would like to start off by giving a brief introduction about myself. Shiva, you've already spoken about it, but so I am an Assamese. I'm from Guwahati, Assam. And immediately after my 12th, I joined Hansraj College. I joined the BA Eco Honors course. And that was way back, you know. I belonged to the batch of 2004 to 2007. So I am all the people who must have joined today. You are this younger lot. And so I graduated in the year 2007. And firstly, you know, I will just talk about my life in Hansraj College and how that was so monumental in shaping what I am today. You know, I always wanted to become a civil servant ever since I was in school. This happened because my father is a retired civil servant. He worked in the Assam Civil Services. And, you know, the work that he did when he would come back home, he would tell us funny stories and interesting anecdotes about his day-to-day work as a civil servant. And that really had an impression on me. So I think as far as I can remember, it was, I think probably I was in 6th or 7th standard when I also thought that maybe I can also become a civil servant someday. And that was the time when this dream was instilled in me. And it was a time when I had no idea about how the exam will be, what are the nuances of the exam. I had no idea that this UPSC exam is the second toughest exam in the world, but still that dream was built inside me. So I decided that I would pursue economics and in my higher studies, and I really wanted to join Delhi University in a good college. So when I got through Hansraj College, I was very elated, and I went to Delhi, leaving home and family behind. So Hansraj College, it gave me a wonderful platform where I could build my personality, where I could Delhi University is a culmination of people coming from different parts of the country, because it's one of the most prestigious universities in the country. So, even in Hansraj College, there were people coming from all the corners of the country. So here I was, a girl coming from a town in Northeast India, and I was suddenly put in a place where there were people coming from different corners of the country, and all highly ambitious people. I can speak about my batch. My batch, it was a very fun-loving batch. We were a fun-loving batch, but at the same time, everyone was very ambitious. Everyone was very focused. So I think Hansraj College gave me that platform where I could see myself being a focused person, very career oriented, ambitious. So all these things, Hansraj gave a very good platform. Of course, we had fun. College is fun. So it was a very good combination of having fun at the same time, being very focused in your studies as well. And the college also boasts of very good faculty members. So even the professors were very supportive. So overall, it was an unmatchable environment. Everything culminated into bringing out the best in me. The college also provides very good extracurricular activities. I remember I was a part of the Hindustani classical music group, I think. And so, honing my extracurricular activities, plus honing my academic skills, everything. It was a very wonderful platform. Another thing that I would like to speak here is that going to Delhi University, going to Hansraj College made me a very, very tolerant person. How? Because I was from this town, from the city, Guwahati, and then suddenly I am in this university where I was meeting people from different corners of the country. I was getting to know people from different cultures. I was not very well versed in Hindi. I was very comfortable with just Assamese and English. But when I went to DU, when I went to Hansraj, I met people from different parts. So I actually started speaking good Hindi. And so I think it was a very, it gave my personality a very, well-rounded and very balanced kind of shape to my personality. So I'm very thankful to Hansraj College for that. Another thing, how Hansraj had a very important role in my journey in civil services. So Delhi University, there are many people in DU who aspire to be a civil servant. Even in my college, even in Hansraj, even though in my batch there were not many people who wanted to be a civil servant, there were many seniors from my course who I interacted with, and they wanted to prepare for civil services, or they were already preparing for civil services while pursuing their course in Hansraj. So when I went out there, I did not have much knowledge about what were the good coaching places, how to go about it. So I interacted with a lot of seniors who gave me good insights about what the exam process is like, what are the 3 stages of the examination, what are the good coaching places. In Delhi, there are 2 hubs. One is the old Rajinder Nagar and one is Mukherjee Nagar, which are the hubs of, civil services preparation. So when I went to Hansraj, I got good insights about these small, small things, okay? It was there that someone told me that you should read the Hindu every day. It's a paper which, it's good for civil services. So small, small things I got knowledge when I was in college. Another thing, many people prepare for civil services while they are pursuing their course in college. I did not do that. Somehow I felt I should enjoy college. College memories will, will always stay with you. So I was like, I will start my preparation after college. I did not want to overburden myself with the with my, graduation course as well as the civil services course. So it was a decision which I took that I will finish my graduation, and if so, maybe masters also. And after that, I will start my dedicated preparation for civils, which I did. So I started my civil services preparation from the year 2010. I wrote my first attempt in 2011. I cleared prelims, but I could not clear mains. Immediately after mains, I got married. And, after that, I got so caught up in my personal life that I couldn't give too much of time, energy, and effort into the preparation. So I gave up and I started working. So from 2012, I started working in various, I was working in the development sector in various NGOs and civil society organizations. But, that dream which I had built during my childhood years, that I want to become a civil servant, was haunting me. I gave up a preparation in between and I started working in a different domain. So I couldn't go to bed peacefully, every night. It was haunting me. So it was in the year 2015, I decided that I would give civil services another shot. I resigned from my job and I shifted to Old Rajendra Nagar, and I started my dedicated preparation again. 2015, I wrote the exam again and I failed in prelims. 2016, I wrote the exam again. Again, I failed in prelims. And 2017, I wrote the exam again and I cleared all the 3 stages and I got All India rank 41. So my journey with civil services has not been a very rosy one. I have struggled with it. It was 2017 was my 4th attempt. And it was my last attempt. Last attempt, why? Because in civil services, you have the age limit. That was my last attempt age-wise, even though I had 2 more attempts left after that, but age-wise, I wouldn't be eligible to write the exam after 2017. So it was my last attempt. And so Shiva, do you want me to touch on some points maybe, like, or are there any questions or anything that the participants want to hear from me, something specific?
Yes, ma'am. There are very many questions. I will take one by one. So, my
Yeah.
first question is like this. I got it from the very starting that did you choose IRS over IS, or it is not like this?
No. So yes, you got to know very correctly. Indian Revenue Service was my first option. And I will tell you why. Um, when you are a member of the prestigious Indian Revenue Service, you not only get to administer the tax structure of the economy, but you also get to know about the entire economic framework of the country. Totally get to understand the economic pulse of the country. Now, having studied economics as a, in my higher studies, I was always very passionate about this sector, the economic sector of the country, both nationally and internationally. So the domain really interested me. And so it was a conscious choice. And I thought that, because of my academic preferences and my a genuine liking towards this particular sector, I felt that I will be able to make better contributions being a part of this service. So I opted for Indian Revenue Service, and that's how I'm here. And also, when you are a part of the Indian Revenue Service, you really need to have a very sharply analytical mind. You need to have a genuine liking towards the financial and commercial aspects of governance, which I felt I had in me. And so I was up for the challenge, and I hope I can do justice to the service and I can do good work in this service. And um, and also I feel that when no service is inferior or superior to any of the other services. All these services are prestigious public services, and each one of them, they give you ample opportunity to make your valuable contribution towards nation building. So you might be in the IAS, or you might be in the IRS, or you might be in the IPS, or you might be in the railways. You can make your contribution towards nation building in your way. So that was my conscious choice, and there was no second way or no second thought to it. And I hope I have answered this question.
Yes, ma'am. Indeed, that was a very bold decision. And even Mahatma Gandhi once said that if you are bold enough, that means you are good enough. So next question is that we often discuss about the success stories that we see, but as a very wise man once said that the true mantra of success lies in the failure. You must be having so many batchmates when you were in college, but not everyone achieves what they desire, and that is one of the reasons Jew has the like very low ratio in between the people who get brilliant marks in their schools but fail to utilize on those gainings. So I want to ask you, what should a student avoid in their college time, and any advices on the same issue?
Okay. See, when you are joining college, you are a very young mind. Your mind is very moldable. And I can personally speak from my experience, because when I went out to Hansraj College, I was a very young person. I was a 17-year-old girl, out there, away from home, away from family. Certain things which you should keep in mind is that you should never lose the focus and the end goal that you have in mind. When you join college, and a prestigious college like Hansraj College and a prestigious university like Delhi University, college is all about having fun. So obviously you will have fun, you will make friends, and all that thing is there. But you should not lose focus from your goal. Everybody joins college with a particular goal. For example, someone might aspire to become a civil servant, someone might aspire to become a doctor, maybe someone might aspire to become or join the corporate sector. Eventually, don't lose focus from your end goal. That's all I have to say. And but nonetheless, you will definitely have fun in college. You will meet so many people. So you have to strike that right balance between fun and your studies part, which is very crucial in college. But don't overburden yourself with a lot of things in college. I did not start my civil services preparation in college because I did not want to overburden myself. My college memories, I always thought that these will be the memories which I will cherish forever in my life. So I didn't want to just keep studying all the time. I was attending all the college fests, and I was a part of many societies in Hansraj College. So, try to strike that balance, and try not to lose your focus from your goal. That is very important.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, another question is the between the dilemma of choosing the coaching institutes. So, what are your take on this thing, that should we join coaching in the starting or after our college time, or even should we even choose coaching centers for our
Okay.
preparation of UPSC?
Okay. Okay. I will go stepwise. First, I will tell you how you can. There are many people who might want to start their preparation while pursuing their course in college. That is also a good thing to do, though I did not choose to do it. But I have many friends who are in the services, and I know that they started their civil services preparation while they were pursuing their graduation. Now, see, yes, you can do that. You can do that with coaching, or you can do that even without coaching. Okay, how? When I am a person, I don't prefer going so much to coaching. But going or not going to coaching institute is a very personal thing. You need to understand whether you study well in the coaching setup, or you study well while doing self-study. There are two categories of people. One category, they prefer studying themselves, that is the self-study route. And there's the other category who prefer going to some coaching because they feel comfortable when There's a teacher who is teaching you a particular subject or a particular concept, so they think that they are understanding the concepts better. And also sometimes people feel that when they are going to the coaching institutes, they see other people studying, so sort of that pressure is always there, that pressure builds in them, and they feel that, okay, fine, I need to study. So some people operate better that way. So coaching आपको जाना है या नहीं जाना है, it's a very personal thing. You need to analyze and understand it yourself कि if you function properly with coaching or if you function properly without a coaching. I realized I function properly without a coaching. I went for coaching in my first attempt though in 2011 when I wrote. I went to Vajiram and Ravi for my prelims coaching. But I felt that after going for coaching, I felt that it was something which I could have done it on my own. So in 2015, when I wrote my second attempt again, by the time the mains pattern had changed tremendously, but still I decided that I will not go for any more coaching. I decided to study on my own, though I enrolled for some of the test series, the mock tests, but not proper coaching. So whether you want to go for coaching or not, it's a very personal choice. And for some people, coaching is a good, acts as a boon, because that pressure is there for them to attend classes every day and revise every day. But some people, they operate perfectly without coaching. So, and another thing, when you are going for coaching, please do your research well. There are many institutes in Delhi, and nowadays there are many institutes in other places also, but Delhi being the hub, I will speak about Delhi. There are many coaching institutes in Delhi. Please do your own research before joining any one of them. And because you are putting in a lot of money when you are joining the coaching. So, go before joining the coaching institutes, go there, you interact with the teachers who are teaching there. Try to do your own research on the net, how the institute is, how the teachers are. So I think this exercise you need to do before you select any coaching institute in Delhi University, in Delhi.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your advice. And ma'am, next question is a very direct one. That what was your driving force? What kept you motivated and focused throughout the journey? Because you didn't clear in your first three attempts, so it would have been a very shivering moment for you. So what kept you motivated throughout?
Yes, it was a very difficult journey, because when I started preparation, I was very dedicated. I was very motivated. First attempt me, when I did not clear, it was very demotivating, because even though it was my first attempt, I had really worked hard, during that attempt. And 2015, when I came back again to prepare, in Old Rajendra Nagar, we had a small group of 4 to 5 people. We used to study together, okay? Study together as in not study together, but let's say we are having our evening tea, or then we would discuss the newspaper. Let's say we would discuss the Hindu editorials or something. We would discuss the Indian Express, something of that sort. So we were like a small bunch of people, and we used to discuss regularly everything. Now, एक एक करके सबका निकल गया था. One got into the IAS. My younger sister, she got into the IPS in the year 2016. Another friend, he got into the railways. Another friend got into the Indian Revenue Service. I was the last person from my group, and I was the last person to clear the exam. So, ek ek karke, when all my friends were getting through, it was very demotivating for me. It was somehow it shattered the confidence in me, because we were studying the same thing, we were discussing the same thing, and they were getting through and I was not getting through. So of course it was a difficult phase. But I believe that if you are very passionate about your goal, you don't feel like giving up. I had already given up on my dream before, so this time I did not feel like giving up. And sometimes you do mistakes in your life, but you need to diagnose your mistakes and you need to rectify them. So when I did not clear prelims in 15 and 16, I was very sad. I cried, I refused to eat for 10 days. But from the 11th day onwards, I was like, no, I need to understand, where am I going wrong? So I sat down, I diagnosed my problems, I rectified them in my 2017 attempt. And I can see a question, what do you think you did wrong? Okay, so someone is asking me, what did I do wrong in my 15 and 16 attempts? So in my 15 and 16 attempts, what I did was, I failed in prelims itself. So in prelims, what I did was, for every topic, I was doing many sources. For example, if there is modern history, I was doing multiple sources, like 4 to 5 sources for modern history. And that was leaving me very less time one day before the exam to revise everything. And revision is very important for civil service at all the stages, be it prelims or mains. So in 2017, what I did was I restricted my sources for every topic to just 2 sources. And so that before the exam, I did not have too much difficulty revising those 2 sources. And second mistake, which I did in 15 and 16, was I was not solving many mock tests. This exam is a competitive exam, and especially prelims is an examination of elimination. So you have to score very well in prelims, and there's negative marking also. So your precision has to be very good. So that's where I was lacking. I was not solving many mock tests. I was just reading my course material, but I was not practicing tests. That was one mistake. So in 2017, I rectified those. I remember in 2017, I think I solved more than, last 3 months before the exam, every day I solved one test. So 3 months would come up to 90 days. And if I'm solving one test every day, one test would have 100 questions. And if I'm doing that exercise every day for 3 months before the exam, I would have solved 9,000 odd questions before going for the final exam. So, that gave me a lot of precision on the final day of my prelims in 2017. That gave me a lot of confidence. And I remember in 2017, I attempted, out of 100 questions in my prelims paper, I think I attempted around 87 questions and I got 85 right. Just 2 questions were wrong. So that really gave me a very good score. Yes, so what I like, failures will be there. Failures are a part of your life, but you need to learn from your failures. You need to rectify them and you need to better them. And you need to understand that this UPSC exam is a very competitive exam. This exam is really not the end of the world. In this exam, I would say there's a little bit of luck factor also involved. So it might so happen that, you have worked really hard, you've given your 100%, but yet it might be so that you might not get through this exam because it's a tough exam. It's very competitive. So I would like to also say that this exam is really not the end of the world. And it is just, it's not an end in itself. It's just a means towards an end. So give your 100%, give your best shot, work hard, be dedicated, be very honest in your preparation, be very consistent. But at the end of the day, if you don't clear it, don't lose heart, So always have a backup plan. If you clear it, wonderful. If you don't clear it, even that's okay. You will do wonderful in some other domain in your life, in some other, you will have a wonderful different career path ahead of you.
That is very inspiring, ma'am. So, ma'am, actually, there are many people who are beginners, like who are in first year or even who are in third year. I would call them beginner. So, ma'am, for beginner, where to start preparation and what is the correct time to start the preparations?
Okay. I can see a lot of questions. People are asking me, what was my optional? Okay, so I'll just quickly give a brief reply to that. Initially my optional was economics, but in my last attempt, which was my 2017 attempt, I changed my optional to anthropology. I'll just tell you why. I felt that not that I was struggling with economics as an optional. No, economics has been my subject in higher studies, so I was very comfortable with it. But economics has a very big syllabus. It has a huge syllabus. So I felt that if I select a subject which has a slightly concise and a smaller syllabus, I might be able to fare better in mains. So that was that was a factor which I considered when I changed the optional to anthropology. Okay, so now coming back to your question, Shiva, you asked me, how we can start preparation as a beginner, right? Even in college as a first year student. Okay, see, um, if you are starting your preparation in college and you are a total beginner, the first thing that you should do is start reading a newspaper. Newspaper reading is very, very important. And that practice of reading a newspaper every day, I think you should start it immediately. There are few papers which you have to definitely read when you are preparing for civil services. The first one is the Hindu. The second one is the Indian Express. Along with these two papers, I read another paper, which was a business paper. I read the Business Standard. So these were the three papers which I refer to. It's not necessary that you have to read three newspapers only. You can read one or two. Usually it's better if you read two newspapers, so you can stick to the Hindu and the Indian Express. As a beginner, you need to start the process of getting your attention. When you are studying for civil services, for example, let's say every day you are dedicating 2 hours of your day to civil services preparation. Make sure that those 2 hours, you have your full attention towards your preparation. Okay, if you are just reading the newspaper, make sure your phone is away. Make sure you are not thinking about anything else, and make sure just that you are totally focused in what you are reading. So the practice of reading, at a stretch for 2 to 3 hours, maybe you can start inculcating that in yourself. Apart from newspaper reading, what you can start doing as a beginner is you can start the NCRTs, because the NCRTs are non-negotiable. You have to do them for your civil services preparation, be it for prelims or be it for mains. Okay, it's helpful in both the stages. So the NCRTs, internet, you can browse the internet and you can find out for every subject which are the NCRTs that you have to read. For example, for geography, you have to read the NCRTs from the 6th standard to the 12th standard. And these are the new NCRTs, mind you, not the old one, okay? So you can start reading the basic NCRTs. You can start reading the newspapers. And if you feel that you have finished the NCRTs, you have completed all of them, then you can move on to the next set of books, which are the core books that you follow for civil services preparation. If you want me to give you the book list, I can precisely mention the book list. Should I or should I not? Shiva?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay, so maybe quickly I'll give you the book list, the simple book list, the basic books that you need to follow. For Indian polity, you need to follow a book called Lakshmikant. There has never been a question outside of Lakshmikant in prelims. So you can start reading that book if you have time. For environment and economics, there's a book on environment by Shankar IAS Academy, which is a good one. You can start reading that. For modern history, there is a book by Bipin Chandra. There is a book by Spectrum Publication. You can start reading that. For ancient and medieval history, there are the NCRTs. There are some books, the Tamil Nadu State Board books. You can download them online. So those books are good. For science and tech, basically, you just have to read the current affairs and the NCRTs. And then for economics, there is no one book that you can read for economics. Economics is very dynamic. So you can start reading the economic survey, you can read the budget. So, these things. Book list is not very difficult to find. You can Google it. You will find many blogs by previous toppers, and they will give you the book list to follow for prelims and mains. So as a beginner, you can start with newspapers, with the NCRTs, and then the second round of books.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for your advice on the book list. Ma'am, next question is that what is the best technique to revise and cover the current affairs? As you also mentioned that there was a problem from your side too, to revise the current affairs and all the syllabus. So what is the best technique to revise current affairs?
Current affairs, okay. So see, current affairs के लिए एक तो when you're reading the newspapers, you are basically covering the current affairs itself. Now, many people ask me whether I made notes from the newspapers or not, because some people do make notes from newspapers also. I did not make notes from newspapers. Why? I'll tell you, because uh, there are some institutes in Delhi like Vision IAS, and there's a wonderful portal called Insights on India. So they come up with monthly, current affairs booklets. Okay, they come up with monthly current affairs supplements. So what they do is whatever is coming in the newspapers, they try, they put all of that in one place and they make a booklet out of it every month. So I felt that if I'm making notes from my newspapers, basically, it's a duplication of effort, because eventually Insights on India or Vision IAS, they were giving it to me ready-made, they were putting it in a nice booklet and they were providing it to me. So I was like, why do I need to make notes from the newspapers? Because I'm getting it readily from these institutes, from the internet, I'm getting it. So I did not make notes from the newspapers. I did the current affairs, monthly current affairs from Insights on India, and the monthly current affairs booklets from Vision IAS. Both these things are readily available on the internet. So as a beginner, if you, if you have not joined these institutes, you can just browse them on the internet and you can start reading them. So for me, current affairs would be the newspapers and these booklets, Insights on India and Vision IAS, monthly current affairs. Now, revising before the exam. So I did not make notes from the newspapers. So, I never had to revise them, but I revised these booklets. These booklets and the Insights on India booklets used to be very well organized, very well structured. So when I was reading them, I used to mark everything in those booklets itself. Okay. And so I revised from them. And also, I always had a schedule, like, I always planned my upcoming month. So in a week, the 5 days I would prepare maybe my GS portion or my optional portion, but my weekends, that is my Saturday and Sunday, would always be dedicated for revision, whether I'm revising my optional subject or whether I'm revising my GS portion. So revision was I was very consistent with my revision. And so that one day before the exam, I did not have difficulty revising everything. So you need to understand that the syllabus of civil services is so vast that you cannot revise everything just 1 week before the exam. You have to be very consistent with your revision right from the beginning. Aapka ek subject complete ho gaya hai, start revising it every, have 1 day or 2 days in the week where you are dedicating yourself just to revision. So that, at the end of the day, when tomorrow, if you have to write the exam, you are not afraid कि आपने revision नहीं किया है, because you have already done this exercise before. So I think I have answered the question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, next question is that if you can please shed the light how you did answer writing practice, and how you started and how you like gained the maximity in the same arena, because answer writing is very, very important. The success lies in the answer writing. So
Yes.
can you please shed on the light?
Yes. Answer writing, yes, totally. It's very important. If you have to come in the top 100 or top 150, you have to, your writing, you definitely have to have good answer writing skills. Okay. Now see, answer writing is one thing which, for example, if you are preparing for 2 years, let's say, before, let's say, for example, if you have started your preparation, and let's say you're a beginner and you have started your preparation now, this is not the time for answer writing. Okay. You will start your answer writing from the time when you have completely read your syllabus and the course. Okay. Because if you don't know your course, how will you write a good answer? Okay. Once you have covered the syllabus, once you feel confident ki, okay, at least I have covered my prelims portion ka course and the syllabus, maybe that's when you can start the answer writing process. So answer writing does not begin from day one. Answer writing begins once you have covered at least your prelims syllabus. All right. Second, answer writing, it's not very difficult. Once you have covered your syllabus, once you are very regular with your newspapers, when you open the previous year's mains question papers, you need to understand that, there's a particular way of writing an answer. In your mains GS papers, you have to write an answer, a 200 or 250 words answer in just 8 minutes. Okay, in 8 minutes, you have to write that answer. That's why answer writing practice is very important, because you have to write very fast, and within those 8 minutes you have to write an excellent answer. And 8 minutes, in those 8 minutes, you have to read the question, you have to understand the question. While you are reading the question, you have to make a mental framework of what points you will include in your answer and how your answer will look like. And that has to happen while you are reading the question. Okay, 1 minute or just half a minute into reading the question, and rest of the 7.5 minutes or 7 minutes into writing an excellent answer. So that's why the answer writing practice is very important. Now, answer writing you need to, usually in the GS paper, questions are such that they ask you to critically analyze a particular issue, or so in that case, you have to give a brief introduction. Then you have to write the body where you answer what they're asking. Let's say if there's a question on earthquakes, they will ask you something about the earthquake. So your body has to be, you have to explain what the question wants you to explain, and you end it with a one-liner conclusion. So this kind of precision comes with, practice. Now, how I did answer writing practice, if I can share that, maybe it will be helpful for like some people out there. I did not take any classes for answer writing. Insights on India, is a portal where they give you daily questions from the newspaper. And what I used to do was I used to pick up one question and I would write that. Okay, I would write it on my own. And, the next day they publish one answer, and which is how your answer should look like. So basically the best answer they publish. So I would compare my answer, the answer that I wrote, and a good answer, how a good answer should look like, the one they have published in their portal. So I would compare and see where I was lagging behind. I would see what points I did not include and I should have included in my answer. So my answer writing practice was like that. I did it on my own. I did answer writing practice for about 2 to 3 months. Answer writing practice aisa nahi hai ki aapko, once you have completed your syllabus, you keep doing this answer writing practice all throughout. It's not that. You practice answer writing for 2 to 3 months. You understand how to write a good answer. And after that, you can safely stop the answer writing process. You can again start answer writing practice agar aapka prelims clear ho gaya hai, and you know that in the next after 3 months you'll be writing mains. Probably then you can again start, in a week maybe you can write 2 to 3 answers, you can write your mock test, and that's how you hone your answer, you practice again. So I hope I have answered how to go about answer writing.
Yes, ma'am, sure. Ma'am, another question, if you can shed the light on the same, that how to approach essay exam. If you can tell us that how to approach and clear essay exam, because they carry a huge amount of bulk numbers. So can you shed the light separately on this issue?
Yes, and also I just saw a question, Shiva. Sorry, Shiva, I'm digressing a little. Sometimes I saw a question. How many years how many months of current affairs needs to be done? So see, it's a very tricky question. Why? Because in 2016, when I wrote my third attempt, I failed in prelims. And I failed in prelims. Why? Majorly because I did only 8 months of current affairs. Okay. I think May we had our exam, and prior to May, 8 months before that, 8 months ka time period, I had covered current affairs. And that was a year when UPSC asked a lot of questions from current affairs. Like they asked current affairs questions ranging from 2 to 3 years before the exam. So agar 2016 May I was writing my paper, there were one or two, I think there was one current affairs question which came from 2014. So clearly like 2 years back it went. And I thought I had prepared relatively well. And when I did not clear prelims, I was very sad. So 2017 May, what I did was I did last 3 years the current affairs. Like I wrote in 17, so I did 14 to 15, 15 to 16, 16 to 17, 3 years current affairs I did. And of course, many people, they do just 1 year or 2 years current affairs. But I think nowadays with the kind of pattern that UPSC is following and with the kind of very tricky and detailed questions that UPSC is asking, even at the prelims level, I think it's a safe bet to do last 2.5 to 3 years current affairs. It's not difficult. Why? Because as I already mentioned, Insights on India and Vision IAS, they have the monthly current affairs. So you can go through them. And they also have the yearly current affairs, like just before prelims or just before mains, they compile the last 365 days ka current affairs and they bring out one small booklet, so you can quickly revise your last 1 year's current affairs from there. So if you ask me, I did 3 years current affairs, and it helped me tremendously, not just in prelims but mains and interview both. Now you also need to understand that if you are doing something like, let's say I did 3 years of current affairs for 2017, and in 2017 there were just I think 9 to 10 questions from current affairs. So sometimes you might feel that, "Arey yaar, 3 years ka current affairs kiya hai, but only 10 questions came from current affairs." So don't be sad. In UPSC is so unpredictable that they can ask you from any area. You can't really predict. What you can do is, but on your part, you have to do everything. You have to cover everything. You have to make sure that no stone is left unturned. So basically cover everything. Someone might tell you कि अरे medieval से ज़्यादा questions नहीं आते हैं, modern से आते हैं, ancient से आते हैं. Don't believe them. You do your ancient, you do your medieval, you do your modern thoroughly. Every topic has to be covered and completed. All right. So Shiva, coming back to your question, I'm so sorry. What was the question?
Ma'am, how you approach essay exams?
Essay exam. Now see, essay is not very difficult. If you are very consistent and regular with your newspaper reading on the day of the exam, you will be totally comfortable writing a very good essay. When they are asked, UPSC, what they do is sometimes they have a very current affairs related essay, and sometimes they have a very a very factual kind of a topic based essay. But on the other hand, they have some philosophical essays also. So I personally, I was not very comfortable writing the philosophical essays. So I had already made up my mind that I will write the the topic based essays, the ones where they're asking about a particular, for example, I think I remember writing an essay on the school education in 2017. There was an essay on school education and another one on I think something on skill development or something, I forgot. But philosophical essays was a total no for me. So if you are consistent with your newspapers, if you have done your GS syllabus and everything very well, I think writing a good essay will not be difficult. Again, you need to understand that when you are writing an essay, the examiner wants to see, they want to see that, that's an essay that you are writing as a civil servant. They don't want a very academic essay. They want a very, problem solving kind of an essay, because when you enter the services, you are, making decisions every day. Every day you are out there facing different challenges. You can, when you are in the services, you can't really predict your day, how your day will go. You will be faced with new challenges. You will be faced with different, scenarios every moment, and you have to take a quick decision. So, they try to, and you have to be a problem solver all the time. So they want to see whether you are writing an essay as a civil servant. So your essay has to be very, very crisp. It has to be you cannot digress. Whatever is the topic, you have to stick to the topic. You cannot digress. You can give nice examples. You can start your essay with a beautiful quote, or you can start your essay with a beautiful anecdote. So these are the different ways of writing a good essay. What you can do is, before mains, you can enroll yourself in, in an institute. You can go for a mock test where you write, 5 to 6 tests, 5 to 6 essays. You can go for that and you can get them evaluated. And I think that should be enough for essay. Essay is not very difficult.
Okay, it was very relishing advice, ma'am. Ma'am, as we are approaching our time, the last question I want to ask, if you can share your interview experience with us.
Okay, so my interview was a stress interview. And Bhimsen Bassi sir, he is an IPS officer and he's a member of the UPSC. And I faced Bhimsen Bassi sir's board. Now, during our time, we used to be very scared of Bassi sir's board, okay? Because someone had, especially I was very scared of sir's board because someone told me that it's a very strict board. And so, on the day of the interview, when I went to UPSC, I was literally praying that I shouldn't get Bassi sir's board. But, I got Bassi sir's board. So just 5 minutes before you enter the interview room, you get to know what board you've got. So I was sitting there outside the interview room, realizing that, oh, I got Bassi sir's board. I was very scared. But I gathered myself and I told myself that it's all right. I have prepared well. So I went inside. I greeted the entire panel and I sat down. And I had known that Bassi sir had served in the Northeast. He had worked in Arunachal Pradesh. And since even I'm from Assam, I'm from Northeast, and I had prepared the Northeast portion very well. Somehow I felt confident. Ki chalo theek hai. If and I knew and I heard that Bassi sir asked a lot of questions from Northeast. So that way I was a little comfortable. Ki chalo Northeast se puchenge to I should be able to answer. So I go there, I greet everyone, I sit, and the first question Bassi sir asks me is, tell me something about the Brahmaputra. So Brahmaputra being a big part of the Assamese culture and our life, I have prepared well. So I gave, I feel I gave a good answer to that question. Now, interview, you need to understand that interview is called the personality test. So your knowledge has already been tested in prelims and mains. Okay. In interview, they try to understand whether you have the right attitude and the right aptitude to become a civil servant. So it's a test of your personality. So it might so happen that there might be some questions which you don't know. It's totally okay. If you don't know something, in the interview, you should be very honest and you should tell them that I don't know. You should be very polite. The people sitting out there, they are very experienced. So you shouldn't beat around the bush. Because I was already working as a civil servant in the Assam Civil Services. So they saw it on the form. So they gave me a lot of situational questions. They asked me, you are working as an officer. So they asked me they gave me a lot of situations and issues. How will you solve this issue as an officer? How will you solve that issue as an officer? Which required a little bit of out of the box thinking. So those kind of situational questions I was given. I was not asked many questions from my academic background. From economics, they asked me what was the Keynesian theory, which is a very simple theory. So just that from economics. They did not ask me many questions from my optional anthropology, but they asked me a lot of questions from security. They asked me a lot of questions from, science and tech. They asked me questions like, I remember one of the panelists asked me a question on drone technology. Then they asked me a lot of international relations questions, a lot of sports-based questions. So you need to understand that on the day of the interview, you cannot predict what they will ask you. So you have to be fully prepared. You have to prepare your academic, whatever your subject has been, you have to prepare that. You have to prepare the place where you come from. For example, I came from Assam, I came from Northeast. So that area I had to prepare very well. And I had to prepare my optional very well and also current affairs. So in my interview, there was a clear preference towards asking a lot of current affairs based questions. And trust me, it was a stress interview. I was bombarded with a lot of questions. I remember I was interviewed for 28 to 29 minutes and I was so thirsty by the end of my interview. There was a glass of water right in front of me on the table, and I had no time, drinking any of that water because I was bombarded with questions. And I could not answer one question I remember, and I told them very honestly that I did not know. And that was it. It was a very enriching experience, and it was a very humbling experience. And I felt I did well, and I felt I answered the questions well. And yeah, I think I got around 176 or 178 in my interview, which is not very high, which is not very low. These are average marks for interview, but considering I was facing Basistar's board and I was so scared, I think I did okay.
Okay. You are a true example, like how tough situations don't last, but tough people do. So, ma'am, with
Thank
this
you.
question, we have come up to the end of our Q&A. So, ma'am, any last advice you want to give to your juniors of Hans College?
Yeah, so I would like to tell you just one thing. Um, Civil services is one of the best platforms that you can join to make your own valuable contribution to the society. The responsibility that you have on your shoulder is immense once you join the services, but the kind of work that you get to do on an everyday basis is so gratifying, and you feel so happy, helping. Even if you can help one person at the end of the day with your work, trust me, it's very satisfying. So I have had an amazing experience. I've been in the service for like 2.5, 3 years now, and it's been an amazing journey. So if you have this dream in you, please have that trust in yourself that you can definitely crack the exam. And it is tough. Yes, I will not give you this false hope that it's a very easy exam. No, it's a tough exam. Yes, but you can definitely do it if you are so dedicated and if you're so passionate about it. You can definitely do it. You can start right now while you are pursuing your course in college, or you can start immediately after your college. It's totally all right. But once you start your preparation, be very honest with yourself, be very dedicated, be hardworking. And Swami Vivekananda had said, arise, awake, and stop not till your goal is achieved. So do that, and all the best for all your future endeavors. And thank you for having me. All the best to all of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. With this question, we have come up to the end of our very last session. I really hope that each and every attendee enjoyed the session, as it was truly relishing and cognizant. Excuse my vocab. So, esteemed dignitaries, my extremely dedicated team, and dear participants, I am Shiva Pamar. On behalf of Hansraj College and its entire fraternity, I feel immense pleasure to take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks to our eminent speaker, Bipasha Kalita ma'am, to spare the time from her very busy schedule to grace this occasion with her overwhelming presence. Ma'am, it is just like because of the blessings of people like you that the sun never sets in Nishtha Society and Hansraj College. Ma'am, here I also like to request you, please visit our college sometime, as we really want to see you in real, to listen to you and to take all the astuteness with us. Again, a very big thanks to you, ma'am, for addressing the students. Our administration is fortunate enough to be backed by people like you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us.
Thank you, Shiva, so much for having me here. It was a total, the pleasure is all mine to be a part of this session. Yes, I will definitely visit Hansraj College. I would love to do that and interact with all of you, physically and face to face. Because of this pandemic, we have to do this through a webinar. But once we are in a post-COVID world, definitely I'll surely visit. And all the best to all of you. And yes, have a good day, everyone.
Thank you so much. With this note, I want to inform the closure of this session. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.